And welcome back to episode number 36 of Raise the Banner podcast. Right now it's just JR and I. Ben will be joining us shortly, but for now, JR, how are you doing? You there?
Yeah, it on my end it was just your screen went black and I couldn't hear you.
How you doing?
Oh, not too bad. Having a nice cold Stiegel Radler, a German beer and lemonade, my favorite.
All right. Yeah, I was at the Sox today actually, so it's been a long day, but unfortunately they lost, so it wasn't really worth it.
That's nothing
But
new.
here I am. Here I am. All right, yeah, no, I want to jump right into it. We're going to be going uh, into some Bruins talk. Obviously, tonight in approximately 90 minutes, game six starts. I wanted to get your thoughts on the. Well, first of all, your thoughts on the series altogether, but then most specifically, uh, the kind of coaching decisions that went into some of the adjustments made in game five and what your thoughts were on that.
It's been a pretty lopsided series in my opinion. I mean, the Bruins have controlled a lot of the play for most of the series except for game 2, if I remember correctly. The Leafs had a possession most of the game. The first game it ended 4-1 or 5-1. I think it was 4-1. I didn't get to watch it. I was at work that night, but um, the Bruins scored a lot while the Leafs maintained a good amount of possession of the puck. Just they didn't get bounces that went their way, and the Bruins obviously had bounces that went their way. The games in Toronto, Boston just completely took control. And last night or 2 nights ago, the game was just. I mean, the best way to say it is he took something that was Jim Montgomery took something that was working and then made changes to it, and it just didn't look right. The Bruins looked like they were playing scared the majority of the game, but it happens. I mean, Johnny Beecher's back in the lineup tonight apparently, and Matthew Grzelcyk is out again. Kevin Shattenkirk is sliding back in. So hopefully they win tonight. It would be nice to beat them in 6 because I always hate game 7s against the Leafs because it's always antsy. And for a rival that's only won one series in 20 years, I don't really want to see them in a game 7 because I'd much rather just shut the door tonight and just get it over with.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of said it pretty spot on. Game one kind of was a little bit more even played, but the Bruins just got the bounces and ended up capitalizing. And then game 3 of 4, they kind of blew them out. I tell you, game 5 though, I feel like the Bruins were outplayed for a solid 2/3 of the game. They had some small stretchers throughout the game, and then they came on hot in the last 10 minutes. But I would say overall for the first 50 minutes of the game, they didn't exactly play too well. They made too many mistakes. They were sloppy in their own end. They really weren't putting much for pucks on the net. And I think at one point they were being outshot about 19-12 going into, I want to say it was the third period. And all together they just it really was not a pretty game.
They were playing
Five for them.
scared.
Yeah, and so going into game 6, I have pretty good confidence that they can close them out. But like you said, going in, you don't want to, for obvious reasons, to go into a game 7 and put that type of pressure on yourselves. Then again, you didn't want to have to come to Toronto and they put up a stinker. So we'll see what they do tonight. Ooh,
Hopefully they
excuse
win.
me.
I mean, like I said, I just hate playing the Leafs. Obviously, because it's a rivalry, and as much as I hate on the team, it's more the fan base that I'm not a fan of. Their fan base is just annoying, and they cry about everything, and they always try to make it about themselves. I have a few friends that are Leafs fans. They're the small minority of Leafs fans that I can stand, but it's just the league favors the Leafs, and the Leafs don't even realize that still, and they still shoot themselves in the foot and still lose. And it's hilarious.
Yeah, I saw some. They were talking about 95 on the ride home from the Sox today that they have an 8 p.m. slot on Saturday, like blocked off on ABC or something
Yeah,
like that.
ABC has this game 7, so this is Jack Edwards' last game calling the Bruins.
Oh, that's upsetting, but um,
Well, not no to some fans it's not, but this people like me who grew up listening to him call games, it's kind of sad. So it's like my child,
yeah. I
like
mean,
most of my
yeah,
childhood.
yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, it's between him and Mike Gorman, who just called his last Celtics game last night. We're in for a pretty big change from like the voice that you used to hearing for two of
I
the.
believe Alex Faust is going to be taking over for Jack Edwards.
Okay, it's not bad.
I
It's not
think
bad.
I think that's where it's going because he called a few games this year when Jack was out, and honestly, it was fun. It was a fun listen.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Jack. Things seem to. I don't know really what's going on with him, but he seemed to be a little off over the last year or two.
It's
But
health. He's older.
yeah, I mean, whatever it is. But anyways, back to the actual game itself. If they don't come out today hot, I like it'll be incredibly disappointing. So my question more to you that I was just about to propose is if they go out and they lose these next two games, do you think Montgomery's fired?
I don't know, to be honest. I mean, they said Bruce Cassidy wasn't going to get fired, and he ended up getting fired. So nothing would surprise me with this management. But I don't know. I think he deserves another shot. I think you get one more year with him if they don't fire him and see what he does in year 3 if they make the playoffs. And if they still lose again, then you got to have some questions. But the thing is, like, his team in Dallas was so good and it had so much promise until he, you know, had his issues with alcohol and everything like that. So I think if they win, even if they lose, I think they still give him another year. But nothing would surprise me with Don Sweeney and Cam Neely. But if they do fire him, Rod Brindamore might not be the coach of Carolina after this year. So
Is that who you want? Is that who
I
you would want?
I wouldn't mind Rod the Bod. He's a hell of a coach, man.
Yeah, I mean, 98.5 seemed pretty confident that he'll get fired. I'm not exactly sold on the idea.
Who said that? Felger?
Yeah, I mean, of course, yeah.
Well, I
Felger's
mean, it's gonna. Mike Felger always says shit about the Bruins because he got kicked off the Bruins beat report because he was so much of an asshole to people. So the players, the front office staff, just the people around the organization. There's a reason why he got kicked out of the beat. Is because of how rude of a person he is. So anything that comes out of Felger's mouth when it comes to the Bruins, I don't take into any consideration. I don't pay attention to.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was, there was a few others that will obviously make kind of pushing the same button.
I can only imagine what Maz said.
Actually, he wasn't on today. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, I don't know if I would really see him fired. I think it would be a little premature. I guess they're going to be a little bit curious about Game 5 and if they go on to lose and asking about those decisions, but I don't know, unless they just completely no-show these next two games, I think he would end up sticking around.
We'll
obviously
see. Anything can happen.
Yeah, and we've talked about the concept of this was always never really a big go for it year, and things will, they'll have some money to spend. I don't know if they want a whole new coaching staff and stuff like that when they go.
I just want a new power play coach. I hate Joe Sacco. He fucking sucks.
All right.
People can say the power plays look good this playoffs. Yeah, the power play hasn't. It looks okay this playoffs. But in past history, the power play has struggled for the majority of the regular season, and it doesn't get going until like the last week or two of the season. And then they play good for a series or two, and then it just falls off again. There's no creativity. There's nothing fresh. It's always vanilla. And plus, losing your two best weapons on the power play, and David Krejci and Patrice Bergeron, it kind of sucks. But
it is what it is. But all right, let's transition. We'll transition to the New England Patriots. That's kind of obviously the main topic tonight. The draft happened. We haven't had pod since last Tuesday.
last Wednesday.
Last Wednesday? Was it Wednesday? All right, yeah.
It might have been. I don't know. It was a day or two before the draft. That's all I know.
I think it was it was last Tuesday.
No, hold up. No, it had to have been Wednesday because I was off on, or I closed on Tuesday last week.
All right. Well, either way,
whatever day it was one day before the draft or 2 days before the draft.
Yeah. Anyways, they obviously Drake May is a New England Patriot. It's something that all three of us were pretty vocal on of what we wanted to happen. What are your overall thoughts on this whole draft class? I mean, what are your overall thoughts on the decision to draft Drake May? How are you feeling about that decision and kind of the whole thought process going into it?
100 out of 10.
All right, that's a pretty simple way to put it. Anything else on it?
Not really. I really loved the draft class. It was awesome. It was cool to see what a draft in the post Belichick era would look like, because everybody was like, "Oh yeah, they're gonna still take like this no name like defensive player in the second round, or like a guard, or a special teamer." And Elliott Wolf stood by his words. We need to weaponize the offense. And 7 of their 8 picks were offense. Drake May, 2 receivers, 2 offensive linemen, and a tight end.
Yeah, it was pretty. Usually, when we do mocks for the Patriots over the years, is you mock what should be the priorities and the targets, and then that never happens. So they're almost not even Patriots mocks. They're just like a complete guess. So, hey, well, this is what I would do. And then Belichick decides to just do a completely different thing.
My mock in 2022 had Trent McDuffie to the Patriots, and they were right there to take him, and they gave him to the Chiefs.
I did like McDuffie at that time. I definitely did. I'll tell you this, I did not mock Cole Strange there.
I didn't even know who Cole Strange was.
Yeah, I mean, he was a mid-round. He was a mid-round interior O-line guy that was expected to go.
At first, we were hoping he would fall to the 4th.
Yeah, I mean, he was expected to go in the 3rd. People talked after, and maybe he would have gone in the 2nd, but like either way, it was they jumped at him and drafted him well ahead than what people thought. So it was obviously a little bit of a questionable decision at the time. But in terms of this draft class, it's weird, when we mocked and we were like, okay, like the big thing when we were doing mocks is I wanted to try to be realistic. And so, I would see people do, go offense. And I'm like, well, how realistic is that? And well, I mean, I guess it was realistic because it was.
Remember, they kept on saying they need to weaponize the offense, and the way you weaponize the offense is just go offensive heavy in the draft. So that's what a lot of people, including me, expected us to do, and that's what they did.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's what I think everybody wanted and was hoping for. It was just kind of like, I just kept waiting for them to go defense. I felt like that there was a chance that they went defense in round 2 when Cooper DeJean and Kool-Aid both fell into round 2. I was like, they could easily go corner here. And then when they took Polk, I was like, in round 3 came around, Caden Wallace was available, but it felt a little early for him. But they obviously liked him. And then
that was their guy apparently. Outside of what's his name? Outside of Patrick Paul, from all the reports that I read and what I heard, is that was their guy.
Yeah, and hey, I mean, good for them. Like, you, especially in the middle rounds, you like a guy, go get him. Don't play around like you're trying to, like, oh, this is a 4th round.
If you like him, get
media him. Board. Yeah. Oh, Benny Ballgame is here.
What's up, gentlemen?
What up?
Back from the Elks Lodge.
Yeah, he's finished eating his Wheaties and he's ready to go.
I got you can't see it because of the stupid thing. I got chicken wings.
Oh boy,
chicken wings.
I got
Not
a
a
deer in
wings
the
guy.
water.
Overrated.
No,
Anyways,
not
yeah.
overrated.
So, I mean, the Patriots draft, like I don't think anybody would have realistically bet on the idea that they would go defense 6 out of their 7 picks.
You mean
I think
offense?
you would have said, yeah, excuse me, offense. I think you would have said like if they went 5, that was good, and they went 6, and even the 7th guy is, and then, excuse me, that one guy that they went defense was a late round pick. So
And
you know
he looks like he's gonna be really fucking good.
he looks like a freak athlete, that's for sure. It looks like he could play some safety, maybe some corner as well.
He's played safety. So
yeah. So I mean, like, you know, obviously we're all happy with Drake May. He's here. I don't think
A plus.
Yeah, I mean A+. I think it's what we wanted them to do. The trade offers from Minnesota and the Giants reportedly. Minnesota offered 11, 23, and a 25 first for 3, and then they wanted a favorable pick swap or 2 on their end, and then New York offered 6 and a 25 first.
Laughable, both of them.
Yeah, I don't think either. I don't know. I think the Giants one was probably a little bit more reasonable than Minnesota's. To be honest,
I'm sorry. No, you need a quarterback.
No. You. I mean, theoretically, you could have moved back to 6 and took JJ or Penix, but you know that's obviously a little bit of a different story. But I mean, as a whole, I wanted them to stick and stay. Here they are. They're sticking and staying. They took Drake May. We're all pretty happy about that.
Yes.
34 came around. I personally, I was all on the Ladd McConkey train. I wanted that. That was my top option at the time. They proceeded to trade back 3 spots and took Jalen Polk. What are your thoughts on Polk himself as a player? I know I was not as high on him. I don't want to say I wasn't high on him, but Ben was higher on him than I was.
Well, you were campaigning your whole entire time in your now your articles and stuff like that for a Washington receiver, and you kept on saying Jalen McMillan. And when I saw Jalen Polk come across the screen, I was like, I texted the group, and I'm like, not the Washington receiver we thought.
I was
like
all,
Polk.
I mean, I like him. I do. It's not like I dislike his game. I just felt like McMillan was a little bit more like explosive of a player. The comps that it's tough because they're a little bit different and they're a little bit same at the same time. Polk, the comparison is a more athletic Jacoby Myers.
He's Jacoby with more juice.
And I think people kind of hear that comp and think it's a bad thing, but it's
not.
Really not. Yeah, it's really not. Like Jacoby Myers is a good wide receiver. He's good.
He's got fucking magnets for hands.
If Myers was a better athlete, he would be really good. I can't even concentrate. Ben's just licking his fingers, and it's got me. It's got.
I don't know how I feel about that. But yeah, when I walked through the door and Amy, the wife goes, "Here, eat these chicken wings," and I was like, "Okay."
You get a napkin or
no? Literally, she was like, "We just ran out of paper towels too." I'm sorry, so I'm like raw dogging it over here with these chicken wings and no paper towels.
That's hot, Ben. That's hot.
So I guess I'll agree. I didn't have Polk in that spot. They allegedly tried to trade up to 32 with Buffalo. Presumably they wanted either Xavier Legette or Legette, however you say it, or Keon Coleman, which is interesting because I think we had talked at length about what the Patriots were going to take wide receiver wise and how the traditional X wide receiver in today's NFL is it's not dead, but it's kind of a dying breed. It's not the attractive style of player that teams want anymore. Not as much as it used to be, right? The Devontae Smiths of the world, guys who have really good hands, run good routes, and are fast, and their separation skills are really good. That's now becoming the prevalent or the prevailing desire of NFL GMs who need help with the wide receiver position. Not that they're not good anymore, but the Mike Evans, the Keenan Allens, the Chris Godwins to a degree are kind of a dying breed in terms of what NFL GMs are looking for, just because they're not quite as athletic. They rely more on catch radius and getting open. Those possession type of guys are kind of going by the wayside. So that's why I think that we didn't really have Polk super high, like in wide receiver rankings, or super high on the list of guys that would probably be desirable at 34, which is interesting that that seemed to be what they were going to do. Like, not that Leggett is your prototypical X type of wide receiver, but he fits that mold. He's bigger guy, good hands. Obviously, in the end, the Bills took the Panthers offer, which, even if it was an equal swap, I can't blame them. Why would the Bills trade back with a division rival to make them better, right? So
they traded back with the conference rival.
Yeah, but I think they also
Who's their
looked at it.
daddy?
Correct. Well, I think they looked at it too and said, because they moved up pretty far in the middle round pick. They moved back from 28 to 32, but then they moved up from like 130 something to 95, which is why I think they did it. And I don't know as if they really looked at Xavier Worthy as the style of guy that they would want anyway, because they ended up getting Keon Coleman. They got another X kind of guy. So, I think that's kind of why Polk was a little bit further down on my rankings, Matt's rankings, and was kind of a surprise at that spot, even though obviously they traded back. I kind of, at least to a degree, understand the why, right? Because you have, no pun intended, you have a lot of other wide receivers, right? You've got Bourne, Douglas, and you've got, why am I blanking? Bourne, Douglas, Juju's not really a Y. He's kind of like a shitty X. Oh, puppy, guest appearance. So for me, I kind of at least understood the thinking, right? That they have Bourne, they have Douglas, who are their inside guys, and they wanted somebody on the outside. So like Polk kind of fits that need, that hole. Baker does too, to a degree, but what I've been reading about Baker, which I like, is that Baker is a very similar player to Polk, but he's better at route separation. He doesn't have the speed, but he's better at getting open during the route. Neither one of them gets open off the line unless they're playing off coverage or zone. So I think that'll be interesting to see how they play it. But I think that they really honed in on getting an X wide receiver, because they have guys that can play inside. They wanted, and Polk can play inside, but he's a guy that he'll basically catch anything. And I know the term, which I kind of laughed when I read it, Matt sent it to me, that he's an inaccuracy defeater or something to that effect. But he's a good quarterback friendly type of guy, because if you throw anything within his wingspan, he'll catch 90% of those balls. So I don't dislike it. I just don't really know what to expect, because he doesn't fit the more modern mold for what wide receivers end up getting targeted. That's why obviously, Neighbors, Marvin Harrison, Adunze, Lad McConkey to a degree, Pearsall.
We got to also remember the offense that we're going to be running too. It's going to fit his style of play a lot more.
I agree. And so I think that where they're kind of playing the long game, and I know that you can go on Pro Football Focus and do a 2025 mock draft, but I'm not that much of a hardo. I don't know anything about the 2025 wide receiver class. So
Luther Burden's the best receiver in the class.
Yeah, I know him, but beyond that, I don't know. Obviously Travis Hunter is a two-way player, but I don't know how much that really translates to the NFL, whether if he's gonna be primarily offense or defense. He's certainly athletic. He's athletic enough to do either, but I think he's better as a corner than he is a wide receiver. So unless, obviously they're playing the long game, right? So if there's a wide receiver that they can get, right now, NFL Tankathon Pro Football Focus are projecting the Pats to have the number 2 overall pick next year, which I think is a little harsh. If you
I say
ask
top
me.
10. I wouldn't say top 2, top 3.
No, I don't think they're going to draft in the top 3 again. I think that they'll probably be in the 8 to 14 range. I think is a more accurate thought process for where they'll be. They could be a fringe playoff team. I mean, I think the AFC East is as wide open as it's ever been in the last 5 years. Obviously, I think it still goes through Buffalo because they have the quarterback and nobody else in the division does. Jets,
Hey, we have Drake May.
Don't talk shit about Bailey Zappi, the QB 6 of this football team.
he's so bad he gets leapfrogged by a 5th quarterback we don't have. So, obviously, the Jets have Rodgers, but like, you play in the long game, right? Like, if the Pats end up in that like 8 to 14 range, and there's a legit like a more of that like separate, get open kind of guy, I could definitely see them pulling the trigger. Obviously, they're probably going to need offensive line help, but I think in the early stages, especially with Brissett learning and developing, guys like Baker and Polk are going to be super helpful for his development early on.
By the way, the Jets just don't have Rodgers.
I meant when I said the Bills have the quarterback and we of the division and nobody else does, I was semi-retracting and saying that the Jets have Rodgers. So it's not Rodgers. Obviously, he's older. He's not a quarterback.
They have a better quarterback than Josh Allen on their roster too.
I don't think that's not a hill I would die on, but in any case, I think those 2 guys will help Drake May a lot. I think that they made the mistake with Mac and didn't build around him. I feel way better about May's upside than I ever did about Mac's upside. So I think that if they can do this the right way, I think Drake May is going to be very, very good for years to come.
Yeah, you kind of were pretty spot on right there with the first topic of that. I think even when they drafted Mac Jones, which, I liked the pick at the time, the idea was, okay, he could be Kirk Cousins. I think that was like the main argument by it. And it was, okay, he could be Kirk Cousins, and like, what is that? What is top 15 quarterback maybe in the NFL? And it was like, all right, good, that can work. You can win that way. I know Cousin hasn't, but you can win that way. And obviously things went to shit, very much so, and with Mac here. The big bonus I think that I don't think that people really talk about enough with May is coming from a situation where he was the inferior talent. Excuse me, he was the superior talent. He was a superior talent with inferior talent around him. So he's used to being the best player on the field. Not to necessarily say he'll automatically be that in New England.
No.
But Mac Jones was the complete opposite. He was coming from Bama where like
they elevated him.
Yeah, he had elite player after elite player around him.
He had a roster full of first-round talent on that team.
Yeah, and so, it's the complete opposite with Drake May. Just the complete opposite. So I think at this moment, my guess is he'll sit at least half the year. And my hope is over that first half of the year, guys like Baker and Polk can slowly emerge as the season gets going and they find their footing in the league. And by the time, mid-season comes, well, it depends obviously where the team is at. But if they feel May is ready, May can slide in there and he's not having a shit bum weapons around him.
Yeah.
In terms of Polk in general, like we said, if he's a more athletic Jacoby Myers, that will be pretty good. Like, I think everybody will be pretty happy with that.
Myers didn't. He was a little slower. I think Polk ran a 4.5-ish 40. He was in that range. Myers was a 4.6.
Yeah.
So hopefully that speaks to the athletic.
That and Polk is just more. He's more flexible. He's more like physically athletic. A little bit quicker, I believe. And so, again, if you're getting a little bit bigger, a little bit longer, quicker, faster version of Jacoby Myers, that has the potential to be really good. Because if you made Myers a little bit longer, faster, and stronger too, you would say, okay, Myers could realistically be a very, very good wide receiver in this league. And so I mean, I'm optimistic about Polk. Again, he wasn't super high on my list. Funny enough, Javon Baker was higher on my wide receiver rankings than I had Jalen Polk.
And we got him 60 picks later.
Yeah. And so, I'm pretty damn high on Javon Baker. I think he has.
If you're going to be high on him, you got to pronounce his name correctly.
What?
His first name is Javon.
Javon Baker.
Yeah.
Javon. Okay. Javon Baker. He's kind of got like that dog mentality that we haven't had here in a while. That like I'm gonna fucking kill you type of approach. I mean, he kind of said it in his interview after, in which I forget her name, Karen something, who was the Patriots reporter. Yeah, went on like a freaking kill spree to try to like derail his career before he even started. And anyways, but that I'm optimistic for him because I think he's a guy that, like you said, he can create solid separation, not a ton, but he's got a pretty good route tree overall. He's athletic. He can get open. He can make a lot of catches that like we haven't had someone like him on our roster in a while. Put it that way. I mean, when's the last time we've had a receiver that like showed that the level of athleticism that you see from Baker or really even Polk? I couldn't tell you the last guy that really had that type of flexibility and athleticism as a receiver.
Randy Moss.
Like maybe. I'm trying to like think through.
Antonio Brown for one game.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Brown. Josh Gordon during his slow, small peak here.
Washed up Josh Gordon?
Yeah, washed up Josh Gordon. But, I mean, as a whole, like, they're two guys that if just one of them hits, if one of the two hits, then, like, the team will be in a significantly better spot. If both hit, that's even better. But I would say both picks. I was gonna do a whole article on the rankings. I'd give Drake May an A. I'd give the Polk pick a
B-.
Yeah, B-. I think it's a solid pick. It wouldn't have been my pick, but it's a solid pick. The Caden Wallace pick, again, I would go
C-.
I would go C, maybe a C, a flat C for Caden Wallace.
I'll give you that.
I trust. Until Wolf and Mayo gives me reasons not to trust them. I'm going to trust their evaluation process in the sense that, they seem optimistic that he can play the left side. So we'll see if that's the case.
And he's confident that he can play anywhere on the line. Yeah,
and we'll see. So I'm not going to jump into do I think he can or not or all that. He seems confident by it. The front office seems confident by it. Is that just smoke and mirrors or not? But I have a hard time that they would have drafted him unless they're confident that he could.
Well, yeah, and obviously, with Tyler Hughes here, there's really nobody out there outside of other Washington Huskies coaches, not named Steve Belichick. If anybody knows anything about Polk, it's Tyler Hughes, coached him at Washington. I mean, so again, nobody else other than the guys that were on Washington last year that are still there have the kind of insight that Tyler Hughes does. For what it's worth, I actually went back, not to go back too far, right? And looked at a discussion you and I had, Matt, from March 20th about wide receiver rankings. And so you wrote that Polk does not excite you. You sent me a mock draft where you wanted the Pats to take McMillan in the second round after trading back. It's funny because I wrote the reason that I had Polk over McMillan, which ended up changing in the end, but Similar build, similar 40 times. Polk was a more reliable target with good to great hands, physical route runner, good catch radius, and also not just physical route runner, but ran good routes. And I said, and we don't need another slot guy, which is what McMillan would have ended up playing, which you didn't necessarily agree with. But the thing that I said was, I wrote that neither player is worth a mid-second round pick, and the Pats took him in the early second round. And so, like, for me, the thing with like with what they did early on as a whole, so to me, I say Drake May is an A+ pick, and the only reason I say that is because you're getting a player that I had as the second quarterback in the draft, and you're getting him third. So I give the plus because there's more value there.
Sure.
You know, that's just, I mean, we're splitting hairs here, right? You know, again, you know, Polk fine. You know, I'll reserve my judgment on Wallace a little bit, only because if he can't play left tackle, then the grade on that pick obviously takes a massive hit. But allegedly, the reason they kicked him over to the right side was because they already had Fashanu in place, and there was just no need to have him on the left side because they had Fashanu, who I believe was exclusively a left tackle going into college, whereas Wallace was all over the place, which is why they kicked him to the right side because he had more versatility. I mean, I would say the Baker pick, based on the upside, I mean, that's an A pick for me at that spot in the draft. I thought he was probably a mid-third round pick. That if they really wanted him, that if that was going to be the wide receiver they targeted, he would have
taken him at 68.
Right.
Even after the Polk drafting,
you wanted McMillan at 68 too. You're like, just take them both. Just take them
both.
Yeah.
McMillan was my top option, but like if they went Baker at 68, even after drafting Polk, I would have been like, all right, like okay, I can live with that. But I was still on the McMillan train.
Yeah, you were like, please somebody else draft him so that I don't have to live with this anymore.
The Tampa Bay Buck, and they're going to be happy about it.
Yeah, and they got him at the end of the third round too. So the thing that's interesting with how the draft shook down, I mean, obviously hindsight is 2020. I kind of wish they had gone tackle at 37 and gotten a better guy than Caden Wallace, because theoretically, right? I mean, I'd have to go back and look, but I think they could have had Patrick Paul, they could have had Kingsley, they could have had somebody else was kind of in that same area that I don't think we really expected them to be there. But obviously, you know, every move changes how things would have played out. But I think if they had gone offensive lineman, a Patrick Paul or a Sua Mataya at 37, I think you very much could have seen them. You could have still gotten, and there's player selections. You could have gotten back-to-back wide receivers. You could have taken McMillan at 68 and Baker at 103. And so obviously there's no way to know, right? Because you figure you could have probably had Polk you may not have had Polk at 68. And they probably looked at the board and said, there's no way that we don't think Polk will fall to us at 68 if we go tackle it at 37. But if you look at the offensive lineman, the next offensive tackle that went off the board after the Patriots went Polk at 37 was Patrick Paul at 55. Then Blake Fisher was the other guy I couldn't remember. Blake Fisher went 59. Rosengarten went 62. Kingsley went 63. And then Coleman at 67, and we took Caden Wallace at 68. Who knows what would have really happened, but it kind of felt like there was a run on offensive tackles at the end. I don't necessarily think that they panicked and took a guy. I mean, Kieran from Yale went 75th. And then beyond that, it was kind of like, you know, who's who, like Gonsalves from Pitt went 79. And then you didn't see a tackle for quite a while. At that point, it was just like there was just a bunch of guards left over. Yeah. I just look at it and go, you know, again, hindsight being 2020, I wish they had gone tackle at 37 or traded back even further, because they could have gotten Patrick Paul if they had traded back really far, and then you still probably could have ended up with an X guy. You probably don't get Polk, but you could have had Baker and McMillan, or you could have had Baker and
you probably could have gotten Corley and Baker.
Maybe they wanted, Malachi Corley. because the first wide receiver. Well, you could have had 80 Mitchell because the first wide receiver off the board after Polk was 80 Mitchell at 52. So you still would have had your pick of wide receivers if you trade out of 37. Because Malachi Corley went 65th, so you don't get him at 68. But then, so I mean that's looking back. That's kind of how it would have shaken out, and we would have felt better about the offensive line pick. But they obviously
in a perfect world, I would have liked probably Paul in round 2, and then knowing how things played out, trade back even further for Paul, take McMillan and Baker in round 3 or 4. Like that would have been like, in my opinion, the perfect draft.
Yeah,
what I could hope for.
But it's clear they committed to Drake May though. Like they gave up an opportunity, and obviously there was a conflicting report on what the Vikings offer actually was, because I think it was Burt Breer said it was 11-23, their first rounder next year, for 3 and a couple of mid-round selections, but he didn't mention anything about pick swaps. But then there was the other report, I forget who had the one that you mentioned earlier, where it was 11-23 next year's first for 3 and then multiple mid-round pick swaps that favored the Vikings. So big picture, they turned down between, obviously you can't combine both offers because you don't take both, but they turned down multiple offers that involved a total of 5 first-round picks. There was a rumor that possibly the Giants were willing to trade 47. That was kind of a soft rumor, so I don't really know how much I buy into it. But between turning down, I would say market value offers for the pick, not aggressive that the Patriots would have ever moved off of it, but market value offers for number 3. Between that and the fact that after drafting him, and if you want to segue, I don't know I'm sure you heard about this. We want to segue into it in a minute. They built around Drake May in the draft. They go get 2 wide receivers that have great hands, run good routes. They're not burners, so they're not going to separate, but guys that can help Drake May's development. And the part that I was mentioning about the segue is it's rumored that apparently the Patriots were talking to Drake May about whether or not that he said they took his advice and took the guy that he liked. They were asking Drake May about wide receiver talent in the draft, about what his preferences were for guys that he liked in the draft later on. So they clearly valued his opinion and wanted to build around him, between not trading off the pick and then also building an offensive line. They took a guard and a tackle and 2 QB-friendly wide receivers and a super athletic, tweener type of tight end, who I think is going to be this year, this team's version of an Aaron Hernandez, basically the same build. I think Hernandez is a little heavier, but they clearly were committed to Drake May with building around him after they took him and then not trading the pick that would have meant they didn't draft him at all.
Yeah, I know JR's pretty happy about, is it Jaheim?
Jaheim Bell.
Jaheim Bell.
Yeah, I remember Matt and I mocked him several times. Not that late, because I don't think we thought he'd be a 7th-round pick.
I thought he was going to go in the top 160.
Well, so the issue with Bell, and I'm being super nitpicky, he's an inconsistent blocker. He's not great. He's fine, but he's inconsistent. But he's not big enough to be a blocking type tight end. So I don't think teams looked at him as a late, a 3rd rounder or an early day 3 pick, because he just doesn't have the build for a typical 2nd type of tight end.
He doesn't have a natural spot in the NFL.
No, but I think that, and again, different offensive scheme, so take this with a grain of salt, but he basically plays the role of Aaron Hernandez from 12 years ago, because Aaron Hernandez was 6'2", 250 pounds. Bell's 6'2", 240. So I think he can fill that role. Now, how they want to use him, I don't know, but they don't have a number 2 tight end.
Yes, we do.
No, we don't.
Austin Hooper.
Oh, that's right. Well, yeah, but okay. So I forgot that we got him, because I in my head I'm yeah, Gesicki's gone. So yeah, he'll battle, but he could be on the line, or he could line up just off the line in the slot and just be a big bodied guy.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the Bell selection, especially at in round 7. I was literally posting about it. I was the perfect pick right now would be Jaheim Bell, and And then Ben texted me with his name in capital letters. I was like, wait, did it actually happen?
Yeah, it did.
Like, I was like, oh shit.
So
Yeah, no. Go ahead.
for background, I was at work that day for the last day of the draft, and like I would check my phone as much as I could, which would be like maybe 2 to 3 times within the span of like 8 hours, because it gets busy where I work, so I don't really have a chance to touch my phone to really text anybody or anything like that. So I really wasn't on Twitter. And I'm clocking out for the day, and I have 6 missed phone calls from 2 different people, like from 3 different people I'm friends with down here. A whole bunch of like Snapchats and a whole bunch of Twitter DMs and like 6 different text messages from people saying, JR, did you see the draft? Did you see who they took? Did you see who they took? And I'm like, what am I like? I'm thinking like they're fucking with me or something like that, or like they're gonna say Joe Milton, and then I see the Patriots take Joe Milton. I'm like, okay, and then like my Twitter finally refreshed and it says, with it, what was it, 237th pick?
Yeah.
The 237th pick, the New England Patriots select Jaheim Bell, tight end, Florida State University, and I just went ape shit. The parking lot, walking out. I texted you guys saying, I'm walking out to the parking lot right now. You'll get my full reaction when I get in my car and there's nobody around. And I just remember waiting out for people, and I just scream into my phone because I was so excited, because obviously everybody knows I'm a homer because Florida State University is my favorite college football team. And I was praying we'd either get Johnny Wilson, Keon Coleman, or Jaheim Bell. Or if they drafted Jordan Travis in the late rounds, try to develop him as a receiver or just as a backup quarterback, at least to have one of them on my team. And Jaheim Bell was like, if not one of my favorite players last year, maybe my favorite, next to Coleman. And to see that the Patriots finally have a Florida State player that's good, it's awesome. Because we don't talk about Ryan is a fucking trash can.
Yeah, and he came out of he played in South Carolina, and apparently they have a knack for developing freakishly athletic players.
Exactly.
Well, that are not quarterbacks, because I don't think there's a freakishly athletic bone in Spencer Rattler's body. So maybe not quarterbacks, although he was an Oklahoma product, not a South Carolina product. But
yeah, what are your thoughts on the addition of Joe Milton to the QB room?
It's gonna be a fun preseason to watch.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be all right. Who's the fastest guy on the team? Pop Douglas, probably. Fastest wide receiver, Pop Douglas. He's just gonna be like, all right, we're gonna line you up on the outside. Anytime you're in press coverage, just run by the guy, and Joe Milton's gonna huck the ball 70 yards down the field, just go catch it. So Joe Milton's interesting because there were rumors during leading up to the draft and during the draft that there was concern that teams didn't view him as a long-term option at quarterback. And so there were rumors of him possibly being willing to convert to a tight end just because of his build.
Oh, he said hell no to that.
And so it was at least a thought, a rumor, right? But then he said in his post-draft press conference or Zoom call, whatever it was, not a press conference, like they call him they FaceTime him. He said that the Patriots made no mention of playing tight end. I think basically the third quarterback is going to be the third quarterback job is going to be won by either him or Bailey Zappi. I think Nathan Rourke's days are numbered. I even forgot that he was here. So my guess is that it comes down to Milton or Zappi. Obviously the upside, the athleticism of Joe Milton is far superior to Zappi's. The issue is, and this was my biggest knock on Joe Milton coming into the draft, and pre-draft I didn't know what the actual number was. I just knew it was pretty low. Joe Milton's completion percentage on balls that traveled at least 10 yards down the field was 38%.
Oh.
So he clearly can throw it 100 miles an hour, but he doesn't know where it's going. So that's the big thing. Just such a low completion percentage is a little concerning. So, we'll see. I'm not exactly sure if he's going to make the team, but I think it's going to come down to him or Zappi. I think Brissett is anchored in as the presumptive day one starter. And then we'll see what happens. I don't think you're going to see a ton of Brissett in the preseason. You'll see situations where like Drake May will come out and he'll start the first half with the first team offense, and the second half will be divided between Joe Milton and Bailey Zappi, because they're essentially battling for the third quarterback spot. They'll throw Brissett in there just to get some reps. Take this with a grain of salt, but it'll be kind of like we'll see a lot of it like what they did when Tom Brady was here, where like they just threw Brady out there one time, a couple times during the preseason, once a game, just to keep his arm and his legs and his mind fresh. But I think Brissett Obviously not Tom Brady, but I think he's pretty solidified as QB1, and you'll see something similar. Well, he'll play a little bit, but it's going to be, Drake May gets the first team offense, and then you see what Zappe and Milton have behind you as a possible emergency option. The upside's there. I just, if you're only completing 38% of your balls that travel 10 yards down the field or more, that's a problem.
I can't wait for training camp when Joe Milton's taking reps and he tries to throw an 80-yard bomb and it knocks out a power line in Framingham, Mass.
And supposedly he can supposedly hit, his, I don't know if he did it for fun, but apparently when he was playing baseball, he was touching 98 on the mound. So obviously he has
the Red Sox need a starting pitcher.
Well, I mean, Andrew Bailey can fix anybody. Matt, you're muted, by the way. So I mean, Andrew Bailey's been a magician. I'm sure we'll touch on that. But yeah, so apparently, he's got a rocket of an arm. I think during the combine, he was the only one who was consistently throwing the football like well over 60 miles an hour, which is insane. Like the other guys I think there was one other guy that touched 60. Everybody else was in like the high 50s.
McCarthy hit 60 or 61, and Milton was at like 62.
I thought Milton was like mid 60s. But anyway.
It's funny. It's just funny with Milton because he can throw that ball with velocity and strength, but you don't know where it's going when he throws it. It might end up in like the top section of the stands during a game.
I had a guy on the good old Twitter app that tried telling me after that him and May are the same prospect.
Who, May and McCarthy?
Yeah. Not May and Milton.
What's this Twitter user's name so I can block them?
That's a real shame.
I'd have to go back to it. He's like, they both have the same deficiencies, like same strengths, except for Milton is bigger and stronger and stuff like blah, 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 blah. I was like, I can't even take this seriously right now.
I mean, maybe the skill sets are similar, but that hasn't translated to results on the field. Like, yeah, Milton's 6'5", 245, and he ran a 4.5, 640, which is pretty damn good for a guy that size. But like, yeah, he's got a stronger arm, but he's wildly inaccurate. And
he's 24.
And so is he really?
He's a six-year college player.
Yeah, what was it? No, the thing you reminded me of, I saw this thing on Twitter about how Jaden Daniels has been in college for so long that he once beat Justin Herbert in the fourth quarter of a game before COVID.
Yeah, I will put it this way. Michael Onwenu was at Michigan with Joe Milton. Michael Onwenu just signed his second contract with the Patriots.
And they were on the same. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, Milton just turned 24 about 2 months ago.
Yeah, so I mean I'm fine with the pick. Maybe in a perfect situation he develops enough where it's worthy of a logical pick. Excuse me. But I don't love the pick. I was fine with taking a QB, but I feel like they were better off taking a shot on another position that they liked at that point. But I mean, who knows? Maybe there's certainly a possibility where 12 months from now, Drake May's the QB1 and Joe Milton's the QB2. So maybe something like that happens.
Let's see. Joe, sorry, I'm just thinking out loud.
Yeah, but as of right now, he's gonna battle. I would think that they're gonna. I think Zappe will make it into training camp with the team, but I think that they're going to be kind of hoping for a QB injury, where a team kind of like what Arizona did with Josh Dobbs, something like that, or where there's a QB injury and a team needs to add.
Oh no, Tua Tagovailoa, what happened?
Yeah, what I mean, something like that, yeah. And they can send out Bailey Zappe and get something in return. Yeah, because it doesn't seem like he has a future here.
No, I think no. And for what it's worth, Michael Pratt went almost 60 picks later than Joe Milton. If they were gonna go quarterback, I would have preferred him. Like a guy who's actually a quarterback who like might be a late round guy that has some kind of future in the NFL.
Yeah, I've been vocal about Pratt that I think Pratt just screams one of those guys that just says career backup, and that's fine. But like if you're taking a 7th round pick and he's a solid backup for 4 or 5 years, like that's not a bad thing. Like that's
Michael
that's
Pratt can
fine.
throw the hell out of the football though.
Who can?
Pratt.
Yeah, he doesn't get a cannon of an arm, but he's got a solid arm.
He has
He's
a cannon compared to Bailey Zappi.
Well, oh yeah, I mean, most people have a cannon compared to Bailey Zappi.
The three of us have a cannon compared to Bailey Zappi.
Yeah, I was gonna say even Ben in his dipping sauce that he's dripping on his pitching ninja shirt has a cannon compared to Bailey Zappi.
I've never been accused of being neat with food.
I was joking. I was like, you could.
I gotta get a bib from my 55 plus community representative.
The idea of going from Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi to Joe Milton and Drake May, even just in training camp, you could not have the two more opposite versus each other. Like it's obnoxious. It's just crazy.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun to watch, though.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
Joel Milton's gonna uncork one and take out a season ticket holder on the first day of training camp.
All right, it'll be me.
Injury claim.
Yeah. R.I.P. Raise the Banner podcast.
Robert Kraft's gonna walk over and be like, "I can give you a pair of my Air Force Ones if that helps."
Sure, I'll take a. I might need more than a Air Force Ones.
I think
a signed jersey by Joe Milton.
I think you need a gurney if Joe Milton ever hit you with his fastball. I think that would really hurt.
How far away?
20 yards.
Oof.
Like, no, man, I say within 30 yards.
With the football?
Yeah.
Yes, 50 feet away, and he's throwing his fastball. You'd probably need a sling or a cast or crutches.
Do I get to catch it? Do I get to try to catch it?
I wouldn't try to catch it.
No, it's unsuspecting. It's just like unsuspecting, and
you'd break all 10 of your fingers.
It's like the clip of the umpire. It's the clip of the umpire in baseball getting beamed in the head.
Oh yeah, just
that's gonna be that with Joe Milton.
You'll be like that guy from Scary Movie where he's just like, take my strong hand.
He's gonna throw off platform, and Matt's not gonna know. It's gonna be like the scene out of Happy Gilmore where the puck just comes through the glass and kills his dad.
How far away would you feel you have to be to feel comfortable that you could catch a Joe Milton accurate ball?
60 yards.
I was gonna say 40 to 50 minimum.
60.
Like, am I standing still or am I running a route?
Just standing still.
I mean, 40 yards. That's 120 feet away. I feel like there's enough.
The pain won't be as bad if you're running compared to standing still.
Yeah, but the problem is if I'm running, I want it to be 80 yards away because if I miss it and it hits me in the side of the head, that's going to be way more embarrassing because like you're less coordinated running a route. At least if you're here, you can like body it up.
Or you can just act like you're a corner. You just like basically backpedal the whole time. Or playing phase.
I would say 35 yards, 35 yards.
Dog, I'm dropping that ball. 100%.
I'd be pissing myself actively as I was waiting for it to happen. I'd be like, "This is not good."
It's gonna be there before you can even blink an eye. It's gonna be right there in your face.
I joked about the concept of you had a throwing contest between May and Zappi and Mac versus Milton and May.
When you say throwing competition, what are they doing?
Velocity or yardage?
So just distance. So each quarterback. So I'll propose it to you. Zappi and Mac get 100 total throws, 50 each. Should just throw it as far as they can, and you total up the yardage at the end. How many throws from Milton and May would they need to surpass Mac and Zappi's 100 throws?
20.
No, come on.
20.
So
that's disrespectful.
So the thing about Mac Jones that goes,
dude, no, 20, 30, okay. I'll be nice.
So
30.
We're not talking velocity though. Also, like Mac and Zappi could get it some distance wise.
So the thing about Mac that people forget, so Mac Jones never had a fastball, but he could throw the ball downfield pretty good. I think at the combine he was over 60 yards in the air. It just took a year to get there.
Yeah.
So I think
the arc of the ball.
Yeah, I think he was bringing the rain with his rainbow throws. I think though, like Mac has sneaky arm distance in his arm talent. The problem is that it took forever to get there. Whereas
every little bit of strength out of him to even throw it that way.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're going to go in order, like obviously in terms of who can throw it the farthest, it would be Milton, May, Mac, Zappy. But like, so you figure if on average 60 times 100 is what? 6,000?
Yeah.
Yes.
So you figure Joe Milton, and we're doing just Joe Milton or Joe Milton and Drake May.
They each get 50.
So their average throw is probably only another 10 yards, because Milton can throw it 80, and I think, well, I mean, we didn't see May throw in the combine.
Did you see how far he threw an orange?
Well, we're not throwing oranges, we're throwing.
I know.
Footballs.
Did you see how far he threw an orange?
I did not. It probably
119 yards.
That's disgusting. So
he threw it from the end zone.
He cleared the back
end zone of the practice field, and it hit like the light pole behind the
light pole behind the practice field.
That's
120 yards.
That's just stupid. I mean, a football. I mean, you figure. I mean, if they can throw the ball 10 yards further on average than Mac and Zappy can, it would be almost just as many. It would probably be like 75 throws versus 100.
Well, considering the fact Joe Milton's been
that's a huge difference in retrospect.
Considering the fact that Joe Milton was able to throw 60 yards with no effort when he was in middle school,
I would say it would probably be about 80. You need about 80 throws, which that's a huge difference.
So
23 throws.
So if you're throwing 6,000 yards at 70 yards a throw, it's 85 throws.
And I think that they would average over 70 yards.
You think they'd be over 70?
I think Milton can.
Well, we don't know. Well, we don't know how far May can throw because he didn't throw at the combine, so he wasn't throwing the stupid distance ball.
I think May will probably sit around 70.
All right, so let's call it 75. That's 80 throws. So yeah, 80 to 85 throws to get the same distance out of these guys.
That's relatively fair.
I think May's farthest throw is like 70 yards.
Yeah, I think it.
But Joe Milton can throw at 80, consistently.
And the thing is, there's zero effort. He just does this.
Yeah, he was just like, all right, I'm gonna count to 5 and then throw it. I don't know if you guys remember seeing the footage from the combine. He would just drop back and wait. It's like, okay, that looks good.
They haven't need a Hail Mary.
Yeah, I could see that if they're if the ball's on the 35-yard line, I can see Joe Milton running out there and just hucking it down to the end zone. Just put Drake.
The receiver's not going to be able to get down there in time.
It might hit the crossbar.
Well, he'll have to stand back. They'll be like, all right, I'll wait 10 seconds till everyone gets down there and just throw it back.
Pop might be able to be down there.
Recess jackpot style.
At that point, you're so far away. I would blitz Milton and just hope you could get to him before.
The only thing is, if he gets out of the pocket though, and he can still throw off platform, it might not be accurate, but he'll still sling the bitch 80 yards.
Yeah, but that's it needs to be. If you're gonna be throwing it that deep, it needs to be a jump ball where they could go and get it.
It's gonna hit the fucking top of it.
Anyways, we got off track. Let's finish this up.
Real quick, just as a general football note, because I don't know who Ari Myrov is.
He's like the NFL Network guy or something.
He's an NFL. He says covering the NFL for the 33rd Team FB is the Twitter handle or the X handle, including players that were cut from the roster. One guy was cut from his contract, and one guy, which was Alex Leatherwood, the other guy, Rashad Bateman, did not accrue enough time. If you include those two guys, 14 players from the 2021 first round are not receiving a 5th-year option and will become free agents in 8 months. Most notable, 4 of the 5 quarterbacks, Wilson, Lance, Fields, and Jones, did not have their 5th-year options picked up. Kadarius Toney, Najee Harris was kind of surprising that they didn't pick up Najee Harris's 5th-year option.
50 for a running back's a lot of money, and he's I don't know.
6.7 million. He's had 1,000-yard seasons every year.
He's decent, but
it just takes him forever to get 3 yards downfield.
So I don't know. This must be kind of new. Mayo came out, says on the 3rd overall pick. Honestly, it was kind of anticlimactic. I know everyone was like monumental packages were out there, but we felt comfortable at 3 and got our guy, and honestly didn't want to move. Me and May's legacies are going to be tied together for a long time.
Yeah. So JR, what did you say? It was 6.7 million.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really not that much money for a running back.
It's not, but I kind of get like not really.
They got Justin Fields now.
Yeah,
who I sent this to Matt. I don't know if you saw this, JR. The Steelers are contemplating into a part-time kick returner.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, he might feast as a kick returner with the new kickoff rules.
I don't know if he's got the body.
Good.
He might.
He gets into open space, he can go.
He's super athletic.
What is up with Marvin Harrison Jr. not signing this licensing deal?
I don't know. Is there? So I didn't know until you pointed it out to me. Is there, like, does he have something going on with an NIL contract with Ohio State that he doesn't need the he doesn't need the NFL jersey money, that people can just buy his Ohio State jersey and he makes more money?
No, I can't imagine that.
But why would he not sign it?
I believe NIL ends once you're out of college.
No, but I mean, when you sign the contract, I wonder if there's like it doesn't. I mean, that's possible, right? Because now Ohio State doesn't own the rights to him at all.
Well, the only thing is, it would still go through Fanatics, one way or another.
I mean, that's true. I just don't what's the there's got to be a reason why players don't sign it.
Most everyone does. He's.
Oh, hold on. Something I read today. Somebody sent in one of my group chats. He's holding out for more money. Apparently, they said they would he wanted to get paid like what other people were getting paid. And then, they were, hesitant about it. And then they finally offered him more, but they took too long, so he wants more money now.
That's
apparently, he wants more on top of what they even raised their offer to.
Let's see. So this is from yardbarker.com. Take that with a grain of salt. It's via USA Today Sports. It says, update on why Marvin Harrison Jr. has not signed the NFLPA licensing deal. Before the Cardinals made the Ohio State bucket with star wide receiver, the 4th overall pick in the draft, Schefter revealed last week that he hadn't yet signed this licensing agreement. According to Colin Gray of the Columbus Dispatch, on the Pat McAfee show, he isn't overly thrilled with the NFL's working arrangement with manufacturer and retailer Fanatics. Quote, this revolves around a deal that allegedly being pitched to sophomores in college who have a name by a company named Fanatics, McAfee explained. I guess there was an offer made to MHJ whenever he was a sophomore in college, which happens to a lot of guys, where if you sign a card deal, an autograph deal, it's for 4 years. So it goes all the way into your second year of the NFL. Marvin Harrison, who doesn't need the money, said, we're not taking that deal. As noted by individuals such as Mike Florio, a playable version of Harrison won't be part of Madden video games either until he signs a licensing agreement. Additionally, official jerseys are not available for purchase. So apparently it has something to do with the manufacturer itself, that there's something going on behind the scenes.
When you try to even put his name in on Fanatics, it blocks it.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, you can't find anything on him.
So no. When you try to make a custom jersey with his name on it, it blocks it.
So you can't order a custom Cardinals jersey and then put his name on it?
Nope. Unless you buy it in the Cardinals pro shop. Remember how how the Patriots, I don't know if they still do it at the pro shop, but you remember how you could buy a blank jersey and they put name and number on it?
I don't know.
I didn't know they did that.
They did that a really long time ago, a long time ago. Because I know the Bruins
put in I wonder if people trying to skate the rules and just put MHJ on the back.
You could probably do that.
But I wonder,
Harrison Jr. It won't come up.
But I wonder, could you do just Harrison? Let me see.
Probably, yeah. Because his name is Marvin Harrison Jr. That's what he goes by.
What would we assume his jersey number to be?
18, I think.
18.
It says we are unable to customize this item with the text you have entered. So even Harrison doesn't work.
Try MHJ.
It's thinking.
It's thinking.
Well,
It's
the
like-
old man needs a computer.
No, there. Yeah, no. The graphic was loading. Yeah, you can order an MHJ, but you can't put. So they must be interesting. Like, can you imagine being a Cardinals fan with the last name Harrison, and you want a custom jersey with your name on it, and because he hasn't signed his licensing deal, it's blocking you from getting a
Fanatics
jersey
is
with
like,
your own.
"Oh, go fuck yourself."
Fanatics is like, can you like? I mean, I can't imagine a lot of people are doing that, but like, say your last name was Harrison, and you're like, cool, I'll just get a jersey with my name on it, and they're like, wait, I can't.
I was about to say, because if Arizona can do the customization in store, you can just go and get it done.
I would just go order an MHJ one. You'd be unique too. But
It'd be
It would
really
be.
cool. Just get an MHA.
anyways,
and-
let's finish up the Patriots talk. Who haven't we talked? Oh, Layden Robinson. I don't know, mid-round guy. He was
Solid.
projected
solid
to go
start.
mid to late in the draft. He ends up going in round 4, right? Yeah.
No,
4.
no, we took him in the early. We took him with our first 6th-round pick. Because our
Layden Robinson.
oh no, I'm sorry, we took him at 103. Because
Fourth rounder,
I
yeah.
was gonna say Baker was 110. That's right. Yeah, because we got
It was Dial.
Dial
Yeah, Marcel
and
Dial.
Milton in the 6th. That's right.
Yeah. So, again, like this is a scenario where I'm not going to pretend I know a ton about Layden Robinson. From what I read and watched on him, seems like a solid interior lineman option.
Didn't give up a ton of sacks.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. It'll be very interesting. The interior offensive line, it has a ton of bodies. So, we'll see. It seems like Onwenu's like basically locked in at right tackle. David Andrews is locked in at center.
So real quick, do you think there's any possibility on when it kicks over to the left side?
He said today
no.
he's the right tackle.
Okay. Because I was going to say, like, obviously if Wallace has the flexibility, but, like, who's the better option at tackle? I didn't know if on Weno there was any possibility of him
Granted,
kicking over to the
He
left.
Onwenu basically said maybe one day, but like he would need to practice and train for it.
'Cause
And
he didn't play.
like he has
didn't
all
play-
off season to practice and train for it.
Yeah.
So it's like if he can't be ready for it's May 2nd, if he can't be ready for September 2nd to play left tackle, I think there's bigger issues.
yeah, true.
But no, it seems like he's going to be at right tackle. Andrews will be at center. At the moment, it'll be the Wallace at Okafor. Is it Okorafor? Okorafor?
Chooks Okorafor.
Okorafor, yeah. At left
Projected-
tackle.
You have
and then it's gonna be-
Strange is probably your at least early season leader in the clubhouse to be your left guard. Although I'm guessing he'll be challenged for that spot, but I would imagine it's going to be his job to lose. Is my guess.
Same with Sal. Yeah, I think Strange and Sal are the front runners for those spots. But now you have Layden Robinson, you have Jake
Wallace.
Andrews, you have.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Antonio-
Did you already say Wallace for left tackle?
Yeah, him and
Yep.
Okorafor for thing. So you have Jake Andrews, you have Antonio Mafi, and I'm missing, and Layden Robinson. So you're gonna have at least 4 guys battling for 2 spots, at
Yeah.
least.
I would imagine Mafi is probably on the outside looking in, unless he takes a big step forward.
I don't know. I thought he was relatively decent last year for an early round guy, like for being thrusted in.
But look what the competition is now. Like if Layden Robinson is as good as advertised, you don't think he would overtake Mafi?
Maybe they could keep 4 interior linemen.
That's a lot. I mean, let's see. So how many offensive linemen would we like right now, May 2nd? How many offensive linemen are they going to keep? 9-ish? 9 or 10?
Yeah, probably minimum
So-
9. So you would say at least 3 tackles.
And probably
So you would-
preferably
you-
4.
You would say Onwenu, Wallace, and Okorafor minimum. I mean, who's the other tackle? McDermott got cut.
I'm going to bring up their depth chart right now while we're talking about it. So current projected line is Okorafor, Strange. Now I'm going left to right. Okorafor, Strange. ESPN has Jake Andrews as the starting center, not David Andrews, which is interesting. City So and Onwenu. Your backups, Vidarian Lowe, Tyron Wheatley, Andrew Stuber are listed at left tackle. Nick
You also got Kelvin Anderson.
You have Calvin Anderson listed as third string right tackle. Nick Leverett at left guard, and then your right guards are Layden Robinson and Antonio Mafi.
Antonio.
And
Yeah.
Michael Jordan apparently came out of retirement to play right
goat.
guard for the New England Patriots.
I mean, like, as a whole,
so hold on, wait a minute. So that's 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. They have 15 offensive linemen on the depth chart, according to ESPN.
I mean, I think realistically, Okorafor, Wallace, Onwenu, David Andrews, Cole Strange, Sidney Sal, that's 6. Those 6 are locked in Layden Robinson, 7. Those 7 are locked in.
You think Robinson's a lock?
I mean, he's a 4th round pick. I would have to imagine he's a lock to make the roster.
You think Cole Strange is a lock?
As things currently are constructed,
No,
yeah.
I don't think he is. I really don't think he is.
When he's healthy, he plays some pretty good football.
I mean, he's definitely not. Unless he completely falls off a cliff, he's not cut worthy. Maybe he doesn't win the left guard spot. Maybe somebody beats him out for it. But like, he's entering the 3rd year of a rookie deal, not making a ton of money. I just don't see how that's a guy you cut unless he's really bad.
When he got healthy last year, in the second half of last year, he played some solid football.
And then he got hurt again. So
he did, but you know, I mean, again, obviously health is the factor. If he could stay healthy, but if he's healthy, I would say he's more than likely your left guard. Say there's probably an 80% chance he's your left guard. At right guard, then it's going to be a toss up. You're going to see an open battle. Maybe Layden Robinson overtakes Sal, but then at the moment, Sal's probably your front runner for it.
So, because we brought it up, so Cole Strange, overall 2023 PFF grades, overall grade 64.6, pass blocking 57.7, and run blocking 66.2. In 564 snaps, he was flagged for 2 penalties, which is pretty good. 2 penalties, allowed 3 sacks, 3 hits, and 22 pressures. I think the pressure sounds awfully high. You figure that's at least
because he got beat a lot.
That's more than 1 a game. His best statistic is that he was tied for 30th with only allowing 3 sacks. Despite only being flagged for 2 penalties all year, it was only good for 57th in the NFL. I mean, rookie season, he was
ass
exceptional his rookie year.
He was good, yeah. He was good. He was pretty good as a rookie.
6 penalties.
Ass.
6 penalties, top 10 in the NFL. 5 sacks allowed, top 5 in the NFL. His grades were low, which is interesting. So he graded out at a 54.6, 67.8 again with pass blocking, but he graded out at a 48 in run blocking.
Interesting.
23 pressures in 2022 in essentially twice the amount of games. So Pro Football Focus was kind of harsh on him because I guess he was terrible in the run game. But he basically was on the same, aside from the fact that he gave up way less pressures, like proportionately as a rookie versus his second season, he was pretty on par with the rest of it. 6 penalties versus 3, 5 sacks allowed versus 2, or versus 3, whatever the number was. So in any case, I mean, I would say that again, unless he completely falls off a cliff, I can't imagine Cole Strange doesn't make the roster. He may not win the starting job, but I would imagine he's the front runner as long as he's healthy and playing well.
I would say he's the front runner for the left guard job. Again, like when he's healthy, I think he's been pretty solid, but that's obviously a big if. Like who knows, he could get hurt. But I mean, just for the O-line, and we'll finish it up here. You know, they're going to have an open competition. I think that there's like 7 spots kind of temporarily locked in, and then it's going to be a battle between like Jake Andrews, Mafi, and maybe a tackle spot. I could see them. I could very much see them keeping 10 O-line for this reason, where they're just gonna like, you know, make sure you keep 10, and we're gonna make sure we have enough depth, and we'll play the best available, and whoever's playing the best football will play. And like that's not the greatest plan. You rather a concrete set 5, and they might have that by week 1. But like at least if you have a bunch of start a bowl bodies and you play the best available, you'll be in a decent shape going forward. But any final thoughts, boys? We'll finish it up here. I know the Bruins are about to start in about 10 minutes.
So final thoughts. I'll just chime in. I was actually listening to you live on my drive home, just chiming in about the Bruins. Game 5 was rough. 2 shots on goal in the first period, 12 through the first 2. I mean, it's just not going to cut it. They only gave up 1 goal. I mean, obviously, I thought Swayman. I didn't see the game. I kind of had to go back and watch. I had tickets to a show. Stayed up way past my 8:00 bedtime. I didn't roll through the front door till 1 a.m. So cheers for the old guy rocking it out on Tuesday night in the city of Boston.
You take your 2:30 nap so you can stay up.
I did. I took a 2:30 nap. I made sure to wear my life alert in case I got taken out on the floor because it was a GA show. Got to take the precautions when you become a senior citizen like me. So I mean, Tuesday night. Yeah, see, there's the dementia setting in. Tuesday night, is not going to cut it. I don't think that Jim Montgomery is in a ton of danger to get fired. I say that, but historically speaking, the Bruins have been way more apt to make a scapegoat out of the head coach, not the GM. Not to say that Cam Neely is at fault for this at all. This was not a year that they were expected to really compete the way they did. I thought, there were certainly some kind of ebbs and flows. Like they were flying high early. They kind of stumbled. What, JR, 2/3 of the way through the season, they kind of hit a kind of a slump where they were kind of flat for a while. I think it was like 2/3 of the way through the year, like January, February. They kind of struggled, and then they picked it back up again. So they were kind of up and down a little bit. So I mean, I don't want to come back for a game 7. I know even at home, it's in Boston, it's not kind of their thing to not their thing. I don't love the idea of a game 7 even at home because who really knows with a game 7? Literally anything can happen. I think that, don't overthink it. I think you got to remake the lines to a degree as best you can, the way that it's gotten you here for the most part.
Lineup in that won the first 3 games that they won.
Yeah. I think. I mean, I didn't see him play. I just played catch up. I don't really see a reason why Swayman doesn't get the shot in game 6.
He's starting tonight. He's in that.
He is starting. Okay, I haven't seen the lines yet. So, so I think you gotta do. And again, I haven't seen the lines. So hopefully they're doing what they did in games, 1, 2, and 3. I think if they do lose these 2 games, I think that 50-50 that Montgomery's out the door. Only because I don't think they were expecting to be in this position where they're at. Celtics, I think, are in a great spot. I jokingly said Heat in 7 just because I never know what to expect with a Heat Celtics series. But obviously they're moving on. Hoping that the Cavs Magic series kind of holds true to itself, and the home team wins game 6 because it gives Porzingis extra time. Because if it goes game 7, then the first game of the second round is until Tuesday. If Cleveland wins game 6, first game's on Sunday. Just a couple extra days for Porzingis to rest up. I guess they're reevaluating him in a week. So we'll see if he can come back and play. Hopefully for the East Finals would be nice. But yeah, I mean, the Bruins need to close out tonight. And
I'm looking at the Leafs lineup right now.
Matthews is still out. He's got a lingering illness, they say, whatever that means.
This is an interesting lineup. It's Bertuzzi, Domi Marner, Matthew Knees, John Tavares, William Nylander, Nicholas Robertson, Pontus Holmberg, I don't even know, Gregor, Dewar, Comp, Yarncroke. And then the pairings are Riley Labushkin, Simone Benoit, Jake McCabe, Joel Edmondson, and Timothy Liljegren. And Joseph Wool's the starting goaltender.
Interesting.
I guess Noah Gregor.
All right, well, hey, go Bruins, go Celtics. Hopefully next week. I want to get into a little bit more Celtics talk. So hopefully next week we'll have a better understanding. I'm hoping the Magic win tomorrow night and extend game 7.
That's my hope.
Yeah, to give the Celtics a little more time off and Porzingis more time to rest. But yeah.
And for the Bees, I'll just chime in just because I saw this come across on Twitter. The Leafs are 0-6 in their last 6 home playoff games. So
Make it 0-7.
let's make it 0-7. And we can prep for Florida because that's going to be one hell of a dogfight.
Yeah. All right. Until next time, we'll raise the banner. Peace out.
Night.
Florida recalled Spencer Knight.